been expecting to, receive some kind of, just like weird behavior, some kind of sideways comments about my race, just being a person of color in this field. But honestly, I have had little to no any like experience with that at all. So the main set of experiences have been outside of my field and outside of my study. So that's been nice. But I kind of accredit it to everyone's intelligence. So in my opinion, the more intelligent that you are, the easier it is to realize that things like racism and sexism are kind of like bogus, if you will. So everyone in my field is very intelligent. Most of them are extremely open-minded. And so things like racism and sexism don't really tend to be an issue, especially, well, I guess I can speak on behalf of the Space Science Department here. I can say that.
That's really good. And I guess this has also contributed to other things you're part of, like the Pike Dream Girl. How is that?
It's really fun. I'm a Pi Kappa Alpha, well, the dream girl of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity here. And so I kind of just, like hang out with the guys, help them keep things organized. I like to say that sometimes they just need, like a woman's touch. So I just kind of help them, and I'm also head of committees for them, so I just kind of organize different things and then get them squared away into the places where they fit the best and help them to stay organized with everything. So.
That's really nice. It looks like you got a really interesting role. So how was that? How was it like that they chose you to do this? How do you feel about it?
It was really interesting. So I honestly just started hanging out with them my freshman year, and then I think they waited for like 3 semesters, and then the fall semester of my sophomore year, they decided to dream girl me, which was like, I honestly started crying. I was like, you guys made me cry. But they just like, we were at formal, and they actually just like gave me a shirt, which means like I get to wear their letters and stuff. So it was like a really sentimental moment, and I felt honored to be able to represent them on campus. So yeah, it's a fun job.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And how has like another role that you have on the Black Gospel Ensemble? What is that?
So the Black Gospel Ensemble, or BGE as most people know, is just a choir here on Moorhead. So we're a choir based on diversity. So a lot of people joke, they're like, you can't be in BGE if you're not black, but that's not true. So it's called the Black Gospel Ensemble because we sing black gospel music. So gospel music is a genre. And the particular type of music that we sing is what instills the title of the club, but it's welcoming for everyone.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So, what got you inspired to do this?
Okay, so when I was in high school, everybody, like Moorhead came and talked to our high school, you know how they do with like classes and stuff, and so they came and talked to us, and everybody, I was the only black person in my high school class, and so everybody was joking towards me when they introduced the BGE on their little PowerPoint slide. And they're like, oh, you should do that because you're black or whatever. I was like, okay. So like I honestly went to the first meeting as a joke. I was like, I'm just gonna go check it out to see what it is. But once I went into the first choir practice, like I fell in love with the music and the style and the energy in there. So it just kind of hooked me from there. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really wish you the best on your journey here.
Thank you.
You have 1 semester left, right?
Yeah, that's my last semester. So
oh my gosh.
graduate in May.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
And stay tuned with this clip about Jen.
Hello, so this is Sylvia. Today I'm here with Jen Christensen, and she's a producer for CNN, and I'm gonna be interviewing her, so let's get to it. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your job?
I'm a producer for CNN, and a lot of people, including my mother, don't know what a producer is. I'll explain that.
Yeah.
Usually when people think of journalists, they hear about reporters, and that's a lot of what producers get to do. So we, at the network level, have producers who spend a lot of time in the field working on breaking news, working with live shots, all that stuff that you know about. Yeah. For me, because my correspondent right now is also a full-time brain surgeon,
Wow.
he has a lot of other things that he has to do. So we get a chance to do a lot of the things that you would think of a reporter doing. So we get to do research, we get to do interviews, we get to set up shots, we get to edit, we get to do all of that. And then we get Dr. Gupta for, 15% of the field work. So he'll come and do the big interview with the celebrity or the president or something like that.
Wow. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got your job? What's kind of like, what was your plan before, like your major in school?
So I went to Butler University in Indianapolis, and I was on a scholarship for theater. It was a really good major to teach me about writing for the ear and talking to an audience, and to think about, presentation beyond, just traditional radio TV.
Yeah.
And I also had what we used to call it radio TV, was my other major.
Oh, wow.
And then political science. So I had the production skills, I had the presentation skills, and then I had something to talk about, when we were on the air. So I did that at school, and then I got an internship. I did lots and lots of hours as an intern there. And then when I was finished with the internship, I was doing a documentary about women in broadcasting, because there were no women in broadcasting at a high level at that time in Indianapolis where I worked. So I was talking to this woman who was an associate producer, and asking her questions about her job and things. And then she said, well, what is it that you want to do? And I said, well, I'd like to do your job.
Yeah.
So I really lucked out, and I think it was because I spoke up, which I normally never would have done. But she saw me working during the year, and so she went to the news director, and the news director said, when you're done with your internship, would you like to stay on? We really need somebody to help edit. We had tape back in the day. So that was my first job, so I got to work in Indianapolis.
How do you feel about like gender disequality, and like do you see that in your job or like in your life?
Absolutely. I mean, I think women still have so many challenges in society that, spends a lot of time telling women that we're not as good as everyone else, or, anyone who is an other, whether that be somebody because of being a racial minority, or they didn't grow up with wealth, or they didn't grow up in an environment that was supportive of women. I think always seems to have a challenge. So there's a bit of that, and I'm gay, so we have some of those challenges as well. Luckily, I work in a workplace that's welcoming and friendly to LGBT people. I'm very fortunate, but I run an association that's the NLGJA. It's the Association for LGBTQ Journalists.
Oh, wow.
And it's
really
great.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of hard work, because we hear all the time about people and the struggles that they have at work. So we try really hard to help.
Definitely, I'm sure you
Help
do.
make their lives a little bit better if we can.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, do you have any like tips or like advices for young women that are struggling in their work experience, or I don't know, maybe in school or like in the future, something like that?
Sure. I guess my mentor was a high-powered exec at my company, and she always gave me advice to just try to be as authentic as possible, to be yourself and to know who you are. And that's always challenging, because society tells us who we are, and it doesn't always match up. But at least if you have that base, then when you go into meetings or when you have to deal with an uncomfortable situation, then hopefully you'll be able to have the fortitude to be able to speak up.
Now joining us is Octavia Fleck.
Biggs.
Biggs.
Biggs, yes. That's okay.
Oh, it's not Biggs Fleck?
It kind of, yes.
Okay. So can you introduce yourself to your viewers?
My name is Octavia Biggs, and I work for Lexington Children's Theater, and I'm the director of Shooting Stars Youth Theater with Lexington Children's Theater, which is a satellite program. Okay. And a few years ago, I developed a memorandum of agreement between Morehead State University Theater Department and Lexington Children's Theater, so that there's a professional theater presence on campus.
Okay.
And it kind of goes hand in hand, because I teach the children's theater classes, and then I also am director of the Little Company here on campus, which is a tour company with the theater department.
That's very nice. That's a lot on your plate.
It is.
Yeah. So how is it going into this field, and your experience being a woman going into this?
Um, difficult in the sense that there's a lot of expectations for what women should look like and how they should present themselves. I think it's gotten better over the years. In the early 80s, when I lived and worked after I graduated with my undergraduate degree, instead of going and get a master's, I went to a conservatory, went to National Shakespeare Conservatory, and I studied in their 2-year program and lived and worked in New York City for about 11 years. And it's tough, but I had this, there's always that moment that you remember. And I had a director from the Royal Shakespeare that worked with me and told me that I could be anything I wanted to be on stage. I could be the ingenue or the leading lady. And he proved it by casting me in a show where I played the ingenue. And that kind of changed my whole way of thinking as a woman, because I had taken dance classes and all kinds of acting classes, and I always played the supporting characters that were the evil villains or the motherly images, and never the young love. And so he gave me that opportunity, and it just changed my whole way of thinking. I think it kind of goes into where I am now.
That's very nice. So that was how was that once getting that role?
Oh, it was very exciting, because I had always had lead roles. I was very fortunate in my career, but I had never been the young love. I had never been the young, beautiful, what we see as, the small, petite, beautiful, young ingenue, and I got that opportunity to do that. And so it just boosted my confidence, and it just made me think differently about being a woman in the business. And it kind of pushed me forward to allow me to stay in New York for so long and work.
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with your journey after this commercial.
Woohoo! Yeah, you smell that sweet smell of victory.
Like jerky and diesel.
Hey guys, just seeing Andy Sweat.
You got this, you own it.
You give him a paycheck every other week. You know why? Because you're its boss.
Spread your wings, you magnificent eagle.
You don't worry about a thing, I'll suck that right up.
Racket, racket!
Woo, yeah, glip, glop, glip, glip.
It's so majestic, I think I'm gonna cry.
Welcome back. We're with Octava Biggs.
Yes.
So let's talk about the theater. And you said that women and the issues about that have progressed. And how do you think the theater has along these years?
Has progressed with women in it?
Yes.
Well, we came from a time where in Greek theater, Shakespearean time, it was against the law for women to be on stage. And so all women's roles were played by young boys, because they felt like they could carry the grace and dignity. They were great roles, but women were in a much different position. They were used to ceremonial and rituals, and they weren't really in those political arenas. And if they were considered prostitutes and not decent women. And so around the 1660s, things started changing. It was a new reign in England, and things started changing, and we started seeing women on stage. And so over the years, there's been some great women playwrights and actresses and directors. And in the 70s, we had the women's movement that propelled us even further into the future. And so it's come a long way.
Aside from actors, did playwriters and directors experience this sort of thing as well?
Oh, I think absolutely. Lillian Hellman is one of our most famous playwrights, and she wrote controversial plays. And so yeah, I think so. I think they've come a long way.
And with you directing here at the Little Theater and in Lexington, do you direct and concentrate on those types of plays?
No, I choose plays. There are a couple things that go into consideration when I choose a play. One is, what is it going to do for the audience? How is it going to challenge me? And then how is it going to challenge the students that are in the department? So, because the show I condense it down, and then it goes out on the road and goes into high schools around the state. Okay. So it's playing for a lot of different audiences, and I like to be challenged. So.
Oh, wow. And what are you currently working on?
Well, right now, Einstein's Dream is on tour. That was one of the main stage shows for the university. And then I also have a show called Red Badge of Courage that's on tour from Lexington. And I'm choosing a show for next year.
Do you know what it is yet?
I do, but I can't tell.
Oh.
It's a secret.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we will take a look at Einstein's Dreams right now. Thank you for watching. This is Hear Me Roar. I'm your host, Elizabeth Hernandez.
On number 19 Speichergasse, the room full of practical ideas, a young patent clerk sits with his head down on his desk. For the past several weeks since the middle of April, he has dreamed many dreams about time.
His dreams have taken hold of his research. His dreams have worn him out, exhausted, but he sometimes cannot tell whether he is awake or asleep. But the dreaming is finished. Out of many possible natures of time imagined in his many nights, one seems compelling.
Though the others are not impossible.
The others might exist in other worlds. In his hands he holds 20 crumpled pages, his new theory of time,
which he will mail today to the German Journal of Physics.
The young man shifts in his chair,
waiting for the typist to come, and softly hums from Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. May 1905. It is evening. Two couples sit at their usual table in the dining room at the Hotel St. Marie. The waiter walks across the flying wood floors to take their order.
I gather the weather will be fair tomorrow,
says the woman with the brocade in her hair.
That will be a relief. The baths do seem so much more pleasant when it's sunny. Although, I suppose it shouldn't matter.
Running lightly is 4-1 in Dublin, says the Admiral. I'd back him if I had the money.
I'll give you 5-1 if you're game,
says the other man.
I love the lace of the serviette,
says the woman with the brocade in her hair.
You say that every year, Josephine.
The other woman says. Dinner comes.
Oh.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.